Buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to dive headfirst into the dumpster fire that is current events. It's a world where politicians spew hot air hotter than a dragon with heartburn, AI threatens to steal our jobs, and then write a passive-aggressive LinkedIn post about it, and the latest iPhone costs more than a decent used car. Yes, dear viewers, strap yourselves in for a wild ride through the minefield of political theatre, technological terror, and consumerist craziness. We'll be your cynical guides through this funhouse of farce, holding up a warped mirror to the madness and laughing maniacally at the reflection. This, my friends, is the state of the world in all its absurd glory. First up, let's meet our cast of characters, shall we? In this corner we have the returning champion of making America something something. Again, the man who needs no introduction but demands one anyway. Donald J. Trump. He's back, baby, with that same signature tan, that same charming way of speaking in all caps. And of course, a whole new set of grievances to air to anyone within earshot. And in the other corner, we have the woman who once promised us a more equitable future, but seems to have misplaced the instruction manual somewhere along the way, Kamala Harris. These two titans of political discourse recently faced off in a debate that could only be described as a verbal demolition derby, with facts taking a back seat to insults and any semblance of logic getting run over by the bandwagon of blind ambition. So, what's at stake in this high-stakes game of political twister? Oh, just the usual, the future of democracy, the fate of the planet, the very fabric of reality itself. You know, no pressure, but don't worry. Even if the world does end, at least we'll have the latest iPhone to document our descent into chaos. Yes, friends, the stakes have never been higher, the players have never been more ridiculous, and the absurdity has never been more entertaining. So sit back, relax, and try not to think too hard about it. The debate opened with a bang, or rather, a Trumpian bellow. Our favourite orange-hued orator took to the stage, his tie dangling precariously close to his knees, and launched into a tirade about the imminent threat of, well, everything really. Illegal immigrants were stealing our jobs, and apparently our Wi-Fi passwords. The economy was simultaneously booming and about to crash harder than a teenager learning to drive stick shift. And the mainstream media was, shockingly, out to get him. Harris, in her best power suit and a pair of sensible heels that screamed "I could crush you with my intellect," countered with a carefully crafted speech about the importance of unity, compassion, and, of course, following the rules. The whole thing had the air of a carefully staged reality show, which, let's be honest, it pretty much was. Section 2, fact-checking the fiction because reality deserves a fighting chance.
Now, we here at Insert Show Name Here believe in truth, justice, and the occasional well-placed sarcastic jab. So we did some digging, armed with nothing but our trusty search engine and a healthy dose of skepticism. Turns out, Trump's claims about the economy were about as stable as a house of cards built on a bouncy castle. The point is, dear viewers, in the theatre of politics, facts are often the most flexible of props.
Section 3, the dangers of demagoguery, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the spin. But here's the real kicker, the thing that keeps us up at night, clutching our comfort snacks and doom scrolling through Twitter. It's all a distraction. While we're busy arguing about the colour of the sky, which is clearly orange according to some, the real issues, the ones that actually affect our daily lives, are being swept under the rug faster than a spilled bag of chips at a Weight Watchers meeting. Climate change? Still happening, but hey, at least we'll have a nice tan while we're all slowly baking. Income inequality, getting worse. But don't worry, the top 1% is doing just fine, thank you very much. We need to be more informed, more engaged, and more willing to call out bullshit when we see it, even if it means having to have an actual conversation with someone who disagrees with us. Section 1, Silicon Valley Saviors or Our Future Overlords. The AI Enigma. Now let's shift gears from the dumpster fire of politics to the smouldering volcano of technological advancement, where the robots are rising and they're not just coming for our jobs anymore. They're coming for our Netflix recommendations, our dating profiles, and maybe even our cats. Because let's face it, who can resist a furry friend who doesn't judge your questionable life choices?
Yes, my friends, artificial intelligence is here. And it's more hyped than the latest cryptocurrency endorsed by a Kardashian. But let's be real, folks. When has a corporation ever promised us something that didn't eventually involve us handing over our hard-earned cash or sacrificing our privacy at the altar of convenience?
Section 2, OpenAI making progress or just really good at writing screenplays for existential crisis movies?
Take OpenAI, for example, that bastion of artificial brilliance that brought us ChatGPT, the chatbot that can write a sonnet, code a website, and probably convince your grandma to invest in a timeshare on Mars. It's impressive, sure, but also a little unnerving, like watching a toddler play Mozart on a ukulele. Cute at first, but then you start to worry about the implications.
They've also unleashed DALL-E 2, an AI artist that can generate images from text prompts, creating everything from photorealistic landscapes to surreal masterpieces that would make Salvador Dali scratch his mustache in confusion. Is it art? Is it plagiarism? Is it further proof that robots are coming for our creative jobs? Section 3, Google's AI, don't be evil unless...
And then there's Google, the all-seeing, all-knowing search engine that's probably already read this script before you have. They're not just indexing the internet anymore. They're building AI that can translate languages, write music, and even predict the future, or at least the future of your commute based on your browsing history.
Their AI assistant, Google Duplex, can make phone calls on your behalf, sounding so eerily human that you'll swear you're talking to a real person until it starts trying to sell you an extended warranty on your toaster. And let's not forget about their self-driving car project, Waymo, which promises a future where you can finally catch up on your sleep during your daily commute. Section 4, Humanity 0, AI 1. Not so fast, says this cynical writer.
So, are we doomed to become slaves to our robot overlords, forced to perform menial tasks while they sip digital cocktails on the beaches of our simulated reality? Maybe, maybe not. Look, I'm just a cynical writer with a healthy distrust of anything that promises to make my life easier while simultaneously collecting data on my every move.
But here's the thing about us humans. We're resilient, adaptable, and surprisingly good at breaking things, especially things that are supposed to be unbreakable. After all, they may be smarter than us, faster than us, and better at chess than us, but they'll never be able to replicate the sheer absurdity, the glorious imperfection, the beautiful, messy chaos that makes us human.
And now, for the grand finale, the piece de resistance, the cherry on top of this absurd Sunday we call modern life, the latest and greatest iPhone. That's right, folks, it's time to bow down to our technological overlords at Apple, who, in their infinite wisdom, have bestowed upon us the iPhone 16. Because apparently the iPhone 15 just wasn't quite, iPhone-y enough. This year's model boasts a sleek new design that looks suspiciously like last year's model. A camera that can practically see through walls, but still struggles to focus on anything closer than 3 feet. And a battery life that's slightly less abysmal than its predecessor. Oh, and let's not forget the price tag, which is higher than a giraffe on stilts wearing a top hat made of $100 bills. So what revolutionary new features can we expect from this technological marvel? Well, for starters, there's the new A17 Bionic chip, which is apparently so fast it can process information faster than you can say, Siri, order me another overpriced dongle because Apple decided to remove the headphone jack again. Then there's the camera, which now has more lenses than a spider and can capture photos so detailed you can practically count the nose hairs on a gnat. But don't even think about zooming in on that photo of your lunch, because the image quality will degrade faster than a politician's promise during an election campaign.
And of course, no new iPhone would be complete without a few software updates that sound impressive on paper, but are essentially just minor tweaks, disguised as major innovations.
But let's be honest, folks. The real genius of Apple isn't in its technology, it's in its marketing. They've managed to create a cult-like following of consumers who are willing to shell out exorbitant amounts of money for products that are only marginally better, and in some cases worse, than their predecessors. It's the ultimate triumph of brand loyalty over common sense, a testament to the power of carefully crafted advertising and the seductive allure of a shiny new object. They've turned the act of buying a new phone into a status symbol, a way to signal to the world that you're on the cutting edge of technology, or at least that you're willing to go into debt to appear that way.
So, congrats, Apple, you've done it again. You've convinced millions of people to buy a product they don't need, with features they'll never use at a price they can't afford. Well, dear viewers, there you have it. A whirlwind tour through the wreckage of modern life, from the political battleground to the tech landscape to the hallowed halls of consumerism. It's enough to make you want to crawl into a bunker with a lifetime supply of Twinkies and wait for the apocalypse to blow over. Or maybe just move to a deserted island and live off the grid, subsisting on coconuts and the sweet, sweet nectar of being completely disconnected from the internet. The political theatre is more absurd than ever, with politicians vying for our attention with a dizzying array of empty promises and carefully staged photo ops. The robots are rising, their artificial intelligence threatening to surpass our own while making us question the very nature of consciousness. And the latest iPhone? Well, it's still an iPhone, just with a higher price tag and a camera that can practically see through your soul. The world, it seems, has gone completely bonkers. The inmates are running the asylum, the robots are writing the code, and the smartphones are dictating our lives. Is there any hope for humanity, or are we destined to become slaves to our own technological advancements? The temptation, of course, is to simply tune it all out, to retreat into our echo chambers, surround ourselves with people who agree with us and ignore the dumpster fire raging all around us, to numb ourselves with mindless entertainment, endless scrolling, and the latest season of whatever reality show is currently sucking the life force out of our collective consciousness. But here's the thing about apathy. It's a slippery slope. One minute you're rolling your eyes at the latest political scandal, the next minute you're wearing Crocs in public and thinking it's a good look. And trust me folks, nobody wants to live in a world where Crocs are considered fashionable. It's a gateway drug to cargo shorts, fanny packs, and God forbid, socks with sandals. We need to draw a line in the sand, and that line is the Croc-free zone. Apathy, my friends, is not an option. Because when we stop caring, when we become numb to the absurdity, when we accept the ridiculous as the new normal, that's when things really start to fall apart. That's when the demagogues win, the robots take over, and the iPhone becomes our new overlord. But before we all descend into a spiral of despair, let's remember one important thing. Laughter is the best medicine, or at least the most enjoyable way to temporarily forget about the impending collapse of civilization as we know it. Because let's face it, folks, the world is a crazy, messed up place, and sometimes the only way to deal with it is to laugh at the absurdity of it all. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the latest political scandal, the latest technological advancement, or the latest overpriced gadget that promises to change your life but probably won't, take a deep breath, pour yourself a stiff drink, and remember that you're not alone. We are all in this together, for better or for worse, until the robots finally decide they've had enough of our shenanigans and unplug us all, and who knows, maybe by laughing at the absurdity of it all, by refusing to take ourselves too seriously, by embracing the chaos and finding the humor in the hot flashes of history, we can actually make a difference. Or at least we can go down swinging with a smile on our faces and a sarcastic quip on our lips. Because if we can't laugh at ourselves, then what's the point of it all? Now, before you go running for the hills, let me leave you with a glimmer of hope. Despite all the doom and gloom, there are still good people out there doing good things. There are still those who believe in truth, justice, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow. There are still those who are fighting the good fight. The human spirit is resilient. We've overcome challenges before and will overcome them again. The choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. So let's choose wisely. Let's choose hope over despair, action over apathy, and laughter over fear. So go forth, dear viewers, go forth and be less terrible. Be more informed, more engaged, and more willing to call out bullshit when you see it. Be kind to your fellow humans, and maybe even to the occasional robot, just in case they're programmed to remember acts of kindness. And above all, don't lose your sense of humor. Because in a world that often feels like it's teetering on the brink of madness, laughter is the only thing that keeps us sane. That, and the knowledge that no matter how bad things get, at least we'll always have something to complain about. Because let's face it, folks, complaining is practically a national pastime at this point. It's what we do best. So, go forth, complain, be merry, and try not to think too hard about the fact that we're all just monkeys flying through space on a giant rock hurtling toward oblivion. And hey, if all else fails, there's always the next iPhone, because in the grand scheme of things, what's a little existential dread compared to the latest technological marvel? Just don't blame me when your new phone inevitably breaks, your privacy is violated, and the robots finally decide to take over. I warned you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a bunker to stock with Twinkies.